Do you feel that in a time when we are more connected than ever, we are drifting away from real human connection, especially to ourselves? I do. Hi, I'm Leticia Latino, and I want to invite you to join me and my very inspiring guests in exploring ways to reconnect to your essence, to your definite purpose, to what makes you tick. Are you ready? Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Back to Basics, Reconnecting to the Essence of You. My guest today is Selig. He's an accomplished entrepreneur, coach, scoutmaster, board member, and roll-up-your-sleeves conservationist. With an MBA from Stanford and undergraduate degrees in mathematics and psychology, he excels at managing complex projects globally. He founded and has run the Selig Capital Group for over 3 decades. His firm was named the best sustainable investment banking firm in San Francisco Bay Area in 2024 by Wealth and Finance International. He shares his extensive expertise in his book, Thriving: How to Create a Healthier, Happier, and More Prosperous Life. Rand is relentlessly positive and believes that he can design his own life and others can too. Hello, Rand, and welcome to Back to Basics.
Leticia, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. I know this is one of those where I'm going to feel like a guilty pleasure because I know I'm going to enjoy it very much. And that's what this is why I'm doing the podcast, for the opportunity to chat with inspiring individuals such as yourself that in a nutshell and just by the bio, and we're going to get into it, rounded human beings. That's where I love well-rounded individuals that are successful financially, but don't forget that as human beings, not only we have a purpose, but a responsibility to the world. So I thank you so much for having accepted the invitation.
Well, and thank you. Your podcast is enormously valuable. Back to basics, connecting. I mean, these are the grounding forces that drive us.
I love that. Thank you for that. So, Rand, tell us a bit about I'm fascinated, and everybody that has heard it is like, is she ever going to change the first question? But I can't, because I am too obsessed with origin stories, with who my guest was in those first 15, 20 years of life. What were you passionate about? Share a little bit about your upbringing, if you will.
Well, I like to say that I picked my parents well. It's a little bit funny, but my father was a very powerful, commanding person. I learned a lot from him. He taught me about planning, about discipline. He taught me about the importance of a moral compass. Mom loved nature. Loved animals. She loved reading and playing sports. And I buried both of them in the last year and a half at Arlington National Cemetery. Both of them were all about service. So when I stand up, I pat one leg for dad, one leg for mom. I rub my tummy, both about service. And I say, I built the rest on top of that firm foundation. So when I got to high school, I decided that I was going to be an excellent student. And from being an excellent student, excellence is one of the things that is a very important element in everything I do, whether it's projects or relationships or taking care of myself. So I set a high standard for myself and hopefully distribute that wherever I go.
Wow, that's a great concept. First, I'm going to copy. I chose my parents well, so I'm sorry, but I will copy from now on because I think that's so amazing. I love it, and I can relate to that. And I know that's already the biggest blessing I think you can get coming in as a human, to have a loving family, loving parents are examples. But your intentional choice of being excellent at a student level, I think that's already something where, because we go through motions in life and we try our best, but making that decision as a young person that I'm going to be an excellent student, and you actually pursue different interests like mathematics and psychology, and they're very different. Was ever a decision path? Because I'm also very passionate about. In fact, I'm going to do career fair again for my middle schoolers and my kids school. I love doing the career there fair day, because you know how people have passions and they don't know what to follow. And so in your case, you follow two very different paths. And so I love the fact that you can say, I always say, you're not married to the path or the career or the degree you choose. You can also add to it.
Absolutely the case. I mean, for me, I was always very good at mathematics, so that was good. And one of the things I discovered with mathematics, there were a lot of students who would come in to see me for tutoring hours, and within a minute or two, they would say, "Oh, I don't like math." And I would say, well, let's work out some problems together. And after a couple of sessions, they got more and more confident. And eventually they would solve problems on their own. And they say, wow, math is fun. I like math. So in a very quick period of time, they went from self-sabotaging to having a lot more ability to get the problem solved and enjoying the process. So self-sabotaging is something I see a lot. It's not something fortunately, I don't experience a lot of it for myself, but that's one of the things that came out of studying mathematics. And psychology was also of enormous importance and value. I was very curious, why do people behave the way they do? And so studying social psychology has been very interesting, and it's paid big dividends throughout my life and certainly throughout my career. Running my firm and doing complex transactions for corporate clients has very much depended on me really being able to architect and structure and do the underlying mathematical things involved in a transaction, a merger, or an acquisition, but also the building teams, building culture, and getting alignment between the two parties, the buyer, the seller, the merger partners, and so on. And so this has been a fantastic thing for me, and I've enjoyed it.
Well, it looks fascinating, and thank you for putting in perspective, because it's like obviously investment banker, investment. A lot of people think that more of the soft skills, which kind of you're describing, like emotional intelligence, or just the ability to be a successful negotiator, align the teams and all that. There's always a little bit kind of disregarded. I love that you actually were empowered by the fact that you can talk both languages and then create unique value by bringing them both forth in your deals and in your business ventures. So that's amazing. And I'm curious, were you like that younger version of yourself? Looking back and having gone through the process of writing the book, which of course we're going to get into, but was there anything that you got wrong, you think, back then about fulfillment and happiness, or you were pretty much in tune with what would allow you to design the life that you wanted?
Well, I think people that I've met thousands of people. I've worked with a lot of people on things that are really important to them. I've been a scoutmaster and seen young people coming along and struggling in one way or another. And so what I've realized looking at my own life deeply is that there were some things that came naturally, and some things came out only after overcoming the obstacles. And I will say that one of the obstacles was the relationship I had with my father. I mentioned he was a very strong, powerful person, and my relationship with him was very, very difficult. He never expressed, this is maybe a classic thing for his generation, he was not very expressive of his feelings. He was kind of emotionally distant. And So I had to work with that. It finally in my 40s, oh my gosh, I realized that he was not going to change. That if there was going to be a change in the relationship, it was going to be because I was going to make the change. And so I began respecting him more. And I listening to his stories, even though I'd heard them many times before, and asking him better questions, different questions. And that changed the relationship enormously. And so I got on top of that. And, these are the things, struggles sometimes really help make a person clarify what's important, make them more resilient. These are important things, not to be avoided.
Yeah, I think, I haven't personally read all the book, but I definitely want to buy it because it's amazing. And I want to get into the areas because I think it's perfect for conversation and back to basics. But first, I want to dig a little bit into the process of writing the book. Or did you have an aha moment that would you say, what made you decide to write the book?
Well, I for a long time had been saying I never want to retire because I'm enjoying doing these transactions. I enjoy building the relationships. And I've seen so many of my clients over the years who can't wait to sell their company and retire. And then I see them because I've become the trusted advisor for them. And they'll call me a couple of years later with something else they want to talk about. And they are a shadow of their former selves. And I said, oh, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to, shrink my world. I want to continue to expand my world. And so, but then I realized that sometimes change is because you create something new. It's like being in a rowboat that is sinking and you're bailing and it doesn't solve the problem. And finally, you stay in the sinking rowboat. You can't swim to the near shore. And you stay there until the new raft comes along. And sometimes you have to build the raft yourself. So this new raft for me was, in fact, writing the book. I had the advantage of having collected a lot of material since high school, articles that I thought were interesting, a lot of quotes. My book has a lot of quotes in it, as you've seen. It has thoughts of my own along the way. And I had a 4-foot high stack of papers in my office. I would see it every time I looked over into that part of the office. And I'd say, there's a couple of books in that pile, and there's a couple of books inside of me. And finally I said, it's time. It's time. And so the biggest challenge I had actually was taking this very large volume material and taking the pile and making it into files. The files ultimately became the chapters in my book. And that caused me to do further reflection. Who am I? What kind of person am I? How have I evolved? What's next? And that was an adventure. And the whole adventure, including narrating the book myself, so it's in audiobook form as well.
Oh, great.
It has been tremendous. I mean, I've met so many really great people like you, Leticia, and people who've become friends, people who've become colleagues, and we collaborate. It's just opened up so many exciting and valuable doors.
That's so amazing, and really building legacy, because this survives everything, and this wisdom that you share and this approach that you share. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of books about living the life you want, but even like skimming through like your chapters and the names and how you give focus first on thriving personally, like you almost like separate which the individual and then your business dealings and then the world. I think that already it's a great approach that I haven't seen in other books.
Well, I say that the most important relationship you'll ever have in your life is the one with yourself.
Mhm.
So this is why the core, the foundational element, it actually thriving personally is half the book. That's how critically important it is, and it covers a lot of topics: being grateful, having spirituality in your life, having purpose. So incredibly important. I've spoken to groups of in all ages and stages of life, and including in retirement homes. And I talk about the 10 keys to aging well. It's not about longevity, it's about vitality. And I say it
Mm.
starts with having purpose. And these lovely people, often in their 80s, look at me with big googly eyes. I say, what my purpose is to wake up tomorrow morning and gobble up a yummy lunch. And I go,
Mhm.
hey, I know this place, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're looking forward to your lunch. I know it'll be a good one. But your purpose doesn't have to be, it's a big myth about purpose. It doesn't have to be this headline grabbing thing. It can
Mhm.
be personal to you, meaningful to you. And I'll give you an example. You've been here how many years? 3 years here at this retirement home. Okay. But there's new people coming all the time, and they don't know what you know about how to navigate through this place and how to enjoy it the most and what to, pick and choose from. So if you go to a person or two and say, hey, I've been here a while. I've learned some things. I'm more than delighted to share what I've learned with you. And tell me your story. You don't have to tell your story. If they're interested at the right time, they'll ask you about your story. But ask them questions and get to know them and be helpful and kind to them. And these people look at me and go, oh, now I have purpose. I've got a purpose. I'm going to jump on that. And
Yeah.
I'm just, it's that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing that becomes so important for all of us to figure out what is our purpose? Why are we here? What are we doing that's valuable to ourselves, of course, but also very importantly to the world around us?
Mm, beautiful say. And if you ground yourself in that, then life becomes fulfilling. Like I knew when I created the podcast that I'm an agent of change. Like I like to get people unstuck when I feel like they're stuck or they don't believe or they let that self-saboteur take over. And then I love inspire conversations such as this one. So I say, what can I do that I can, even if one person listens to that, and I always get a thrill out of the text message or the webpage message saying that episode with Rand was exactly what I needed to hear today. So thank you. And then, it's like, that the purpose of, that fulfillment comes from different things that you sometimes don't even imagine. It's not what you do for a job or a living, but it's just your contribution. I think it's so powerful.
Well, we all live in two worlds. We
Mm-hmm.
live in the world of doing, and we live
Mm-hmm.
in the world of being. In the
I love
doing
that.
world, a lot of this, we measure ourselves, metrics all around. Doing relates to success. A lot of people have, I believe, the mistaken view that success is largely about financial things. And that's what the doing world is about. It's having a title and making money and spending money and having goals and, having accomplishments. Now, these are all very important, and that's good. But that's very different than being. The being is the internal world, and the being is very much about being at peace with yourself.
Mm.
It's about being fulfilled. These are feelings. It's about being kind and respectful. It's about being a good listener. These are the kinds of things that are hard to measure. How many times can you say, I smiled today? Well, who's counting that? How many times do you get a smile back? How many times do you say, I love you, or you get a hug? These are not very easy things to count. So the metrics are a little more elusive in the being world. But the amazing trick about going from instead of doing finally after a long time into being a certain kind of person, if you start with and focus on being the kind of person you really want to be, and then you go do, 4 amazing things happen. One is you have less stress. 2, you're happier. 3, you have greater impact. And 4, you're more fulfilled. And I've seen this again and again. Yeah, I am evidence of that personally, but I've seen it with other people. And it doesn't have to wait until you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or later to focus on the being and then do.
That's a very powerful statement, because I feel, and I personally I'm on that boat, where like a lot of people feel like they focus on doing, they reach that for the outer world financial success. Now they have the privilege of focusing on being, because they don't have to be thinking of, I have to provide, I have to pay the bills, all these other things. So it's almost like the doing gives you the freedom to the being. But then you have many that are the opposite, right? They just focus on the being, or are so focused on the being that never get that other freedom. And so the two worlds kind of start clashing with each other. I feel that the pull and take, like I know what my purpose is. And people say, yeah, but you're not making any money with that. And now all these financial burdens and stress, it just get you. So what would you say it's a good strategy to keep the balance within the two, where you don't have to compromise the development of either, or of how much you do in both worlds?
Well, balance is a very common, popular term, life, work balance, these kinds of things. I actually think it understates what's really going on, which is integration. And integration is a very powerful thing, because balance sounds to me like a teeter-totter. It's, you're either doing this and you're not doing that, or you're doing the other, and so on. Integration allows you to do a whole group of things kind of together. And if you're thoughtful about it, and so I know the kinds of things that are important to me. I write them down. I go down my list. If I'm ever at a place where I'm uncomfortable, I'm not my normal happy, energetic self, then I go, let me go down my list, and I say, aha, it's clear. I'm missing out on this thing. I need to spend a little more time, a little more focus on that. So, and people say, how is it your firm has been so well recognized and has gotten these awards? It's not the largest, it's not the best known. And I said, completely right, that's true. But what I did with my clients from the beginning is I focused on them and build a relationship with them. I got to know them. I started, first thing was, tell me what your objectives are. Most of my clients, even though they're very smart, very, very good business people, didn't have a good answer to that. So we talk about it, and we talk about it at the outset, and then we talk about it during the process of working together on the transaction. And I say, we're going to talk about this all the way till the time you sign the transaction, because you've got to use this as a litmus test to make sure that this transaction is at least meeting and hopefully exceeding those objectives. And I'm going to be there because I understand them. And I'm going to be there telling you that we're off. This is not what you said. I cannot recommend you do this transaction. Let's find some other party. Let's find some other way to meet your objectives. And that is a trust, a respect. I don't do any marketing. I haven't done marketing hardly ever, because my clients refer other people they know. The law firms and the accounting firms say, don't bother talking to anybody. Just get a hold of Rand.
That's the best. That's the best. But it's I call it heart center, business, where you work from the heart and from real purpose, intention, then the rest comes. And I think that's coming from a family business myself, I see that resonates. But, the thing is, the world is that inner. And I love the fact that you have a full chapter on spirituality, because I think it's almost taboo. I find in my own business meetings, when I allow myself to just share something that I did. Oh, I did a retreat. Oh, you do a retreat. And we go, regardless of religion or whether you just any sort of spiritual practice, it creates a bond with whomever you are, because now you're giving them permission to also express that part of themselves that usually in business or in other, like, people don't feel like that comfortable sharing. Tell us a little bit about that chapter and what your thoughts are on spirituality.
Well, thank you, Leticia, for bringing this up. And I completely agree with everything you said. It is a very uncomfortable and taboo topic in a lot of places. And the reason I start by saying that spirituality is indispensable to thriving. And the reason why I say that is because the way I define spirituality. Spirituality is about two things. It's about being in awe and being humble. And being in awe, the easiest place for me to be in awe is to go out into nature. I see things, I go, it's amazing. This has been underway for hundreds of millions, maybe a billion years. And look at the beauty of this. Look at the shape, look at the color, look at that little bug. And I just, it slows things down for me. It quiets me. It's a great thing. And it also leads to humility. I realize I am here for a very short period of time. I am really insignificant. Doesn't matter what's on my accomplishment list. Doesn't matter what my investment account looks like. That's irrelevant. This being humble and that leads to being a certain kind of person. So that's spirituality. And it's different from religion. Religion, it also has a place. For a lot of people, religion doesn't work. And organized religion can be very troubling. If you have a religion that works, and I say, make it work for you. Maybe you pick and choose from different kinds of things and make it work for you. It builds some community. It can be a support system. There are a lot of really good qualities. But a great place religiously is a sacred place. And a lot of places are not focused on a sacred way. And I talk about that too, creating a sacred place and contributing to making that happen. So even if you don't have a religion that works for you, you can be grounded by spirituality. And you can, again, it's being a certain kind of person. And it means that if you're going to be humble, you're also listening to someone else, because someone else has their perspective, where they're coming from. They can contribute if you listen hard enough.
That's a beautiful interpretation. I always say, like, when I personally quiet the noise, and then I love to travel alone. I haven't done, I do it for business, but people say, you travel alone and you do this alone. And I say, but that's when I get to hear myself. Having a conversation with yourself, it's so powerful because there's no BS. Like, you cannot lie to yourself. Like, when you're alone and you're just saying, no, that's not true. There's no one. So to get to that essence of, like, the raw information that your spirit side, not the human that you are, but that your spiritual component wants to let you hear, it's so important.
A lot of people comment. I've got a lot of 5-star reviews for my book, and a number of people, many people have said they love my book for many reasons, but one of the reasons is because in the appendix are 75 paragraphs that I've written about books that I've read that really impacted me. And it's a resource. I say, don't be, at the very beginning of the book, I say, don't be like me. Don't ignore the appendix. Read those paragraphs. You might say, hey, I'm going to skip this section. They're all organized by chapter. I'm going to skip this section now, but I'll come back to it later maybe. And maybe I'll read the paragraph and say, I want to read the whole book now. One of these books is about introversion versus extroversion. And it's called Quiet by Susan Cain. Oh my gosh, it is a fantastic book. And she has some brilliant examples of couples. One's extroverted, one's introverted. This idea of taking care of yourself, of knowing what's who you are, what's working for you, and then working with your partner, whether it's a personal life partner or a business partner. This idea is very important. I mean, 40% of the population are introverts, but we're living in an extroverted world, so we need to sort that out.
Oh, that's powerful. Yeah, I know that I'm a fan already of the quotes, so I definitely will look into the recommended books by chapter. You give really if this resonates, go read these other books. I think that's very powerful that you did that and quite different. So let's talk a little bit about the section is thriving in the world and our relationship to others, because I also think that that's understated in how we as individualistic beings, it's all like when the self it's above everything else. I don't think we can end up in good places. So you talk about charity, philanthropy, service, and conservation of the environment. What can you share as a highlight of that section?
Well, so just to be clear, there are 4 sections in the book. I think, and I have a high bar for that all 4 are important for thriving. Thriving personally, we've been talking about that. The second is thriving with others, which is building relationships. There's an architecture. A lot of people don't have relationships with very many people, close and enduring relationships that they rely on the family, good or bad. But you can build relationships. One of the lessons my father taught me was have friends of all ages, people half your age, people 20 years older or whatever. It's a very valuable thing. I have a chapter in that section of the book about leadership and management, 2 very different things, and I explain the difference between them. So that's part 2, but part 3 is the thriving out in the world. And this is where you're being of service. There's a chapter on being service and being charitable and philanthropic. Again, being charitable and philanthropic, again, slightly different things. And then there's a chapter on taking care of Mother Earth, caring for Mother Earth and caring about conservation and guiding our choices around how we buy things, what we buy, how high the temperature is or how high the air conditioning is, these kinds of choices we're making. So being out in the world is recognizing that we have a role to play. A lot of people struggle because their focus is only on themselves. And then, the happiness is elusive. Whereas if you turn invisible, I say the happiest times for me is when I am invisible. I'm focusing on someone else or some other project. And I'm just using my experiences and my talents to guide the process along to help this outcome be as good and solid as possible. It's a great place of happiness and a great place of fulfillment too.
That really resonates. And you, on the final, I think, chapter, and thank you for restating, you talk about the evolving and moving forward, right?
Yes.
And you, I love one statement on one title, I guess, which is aging with soul.
Yes, aging with soul. So we have an opportunity, again, regardless of our age, but it becomes especially important as we get a little older. And you've pressed on this question of, am I retiring? Yes, I have enough money to retire. I say, don't retire, rewire, create a new you and bring it out in the world. Maybe it's based on some things you've been doing for a while. Maybe it's something brand new. That's okay. So evolving, thriving by moving ever forward in life means that you're embracing, you're a lifelong learner. You're being curious. You continue to meet people. You understand what you're wise about. You write it down. You're clear. These are areas that I'm solid, and these areas I need to keep working. I need to keep evolving and expanding. So this section of the book, the fourth section of the book, is a very rich, powerful arena for navigating forward in a life when there's always challenges. Life is full of transitions. So what are you going to do about that? How are you going to handle it? Are you going to hide? Are you going to complain? Or are you going to embrace it and get support? Be your best self.
And I'm curious, did you ever, in the talking of souls, some people say, the inner voice, the intuition. It's something I'm passionate about. When you hear some people say, I just follow my intuition, sometimes it seems it's crazy. People call me crazy around me, but I just follow because I know that's the right way. What's your take on that? Do you really think we have like a higher source of knowledge and wisdom within, that people call it intuition or whatever, that kind of guides us to what we are meant to be in life? Or you hear both sides of spectrum. It's like, no, that's you're convincing yourself. Others say, no, this comes from a different place and I just follow it.
Well, there's a lot about what you just said. It's a complex topic for sure, and that's why anytime there's a lot of debate, it shows that there's multiple views, multiple opinions, multiple research things. Intuition is something that comes very quickly. It's almost an instantaneous thing. Now, I am very rational. I'm very logical. So if I have a big decision to make, I go through my analytical process. I write the pros and the cons. I sort it down. Sometimes I put weights on them. This is more important than that one, and so on and so forth. Then I come up, being mathematically oriented, I come up with, the seems to be this is the right solution, and it scores higher than the next one by a little bit. Okay, so that's fine, but then I leave it alone. I walk away from it, and I come back maybe a day later. I certainly go out, take a hike out in nature, and I come back and I say, what is my intuition telling me? Now, this is the sum total of all of me. This is me when I'm in a great mood. This is me when I'm not in a good mood. This is me when I'm definitely positive. This is me when I'm struggling, and so on. All of that is instantaneous. It's my lived experience in life. It's my brain. It's my heart. It's my body. It's the spirit. And my intuition sometimes tells me that the analytical answer is absolutely right. And sometimes it tells me, no, redo that. It's not right. It might be right because you kind of pushed it. You pushed it in a certain area. You kind of want the outcome to be this way for some reason. But the bigger answer is that intuitive answer, which is this amazing instantaneous combination. A lot of people deny their intuition. And it took me a while, well into my 40s, before I said, no, my intuition is powerful. I have to value it. I have to listen to it. So again, as you were saying, taking a trip by yourself, you listen to yourself. Oh my gosh, such good stuff comes out of that. It's you, your essence, I think. And that doesn't mean that the rational part should be just completely ignored and just go with your intuition all the time. But I think intuition is more the combination, whereas the rational can be more useful in terms of planning, the sequence, the steps, the practical kinds of things, the implementation of how to get the choice to really work. So it's the combination, I think.
Well, I appreciate that perspective. It's very valuable. And so, Rand, I always like to give my guest an opportunity. I know that you have a lot going on, and you do the business deals, you enable transactions, you empower business owners. You're a coach. You do a lot of things. You're a philanthropist as well. Is there anything we haven't touched upon that is exciting to you these days that you want to share with the audience? Anything that maybe we didn't touch upon that you wanted to share?
Well, one area that deserves comment, we've talked about it but somewhat indirectly, is the absolute importance of self-care. So I've met people who were already burnt out or definitely on the road, speeding along in their fancy car faster than they should be going towards burnout. And there are a lot of other things that come out. They're not emotionally healthy. They have too much self-sabotaging, not forgiving, not letting go. They think they're in control. These kinds of things. So it's very self-care. And I had to think about this for a while. What do I do to take care of myself? What does self-care look like? And again, I made a list, and whenever I'm feeling a little like off, then I go down my list and say, you know what? I haven't been doing this. So self-care includes, of course, the physical things. Are you sleeping well? Are you eating, properly? Are you exercising? But it's also a lot of social things, and including social with yourself, which might be having that conversation with yourself when you're by yourself, but also having relationships. So I have a list of people that are really important to me. Some live nearby and some are far away. And I have to say, okay, it's time for you to call Steve. You haven't talked to him in a month or more. So get on with that, because he's going through a challenge and you're a friend. So support him, find out what's going on, and every time you talk to him, you feel good too, because that's why he's a friend. Yeah, he's checking in with you. So self-care involves a lot of different elements. It's different for each of us, and that's the beauty of being human. We're all a little bit different, but self-care pays big different dividends. When you take care of yourself, you rebound better. You have more resilience. You have more energy. You're a better person.
Well, that's incredible. I agree, and it's all the little things. Yesterday was feeling. I did have a tough day, and I remember that I haven't been to the movies in so long. So I found a good movie. I rallied the family late because the kiddos are on spring break, and here we are at 9 p.m. with the popcorn, and just that thing for me made my day. And it's a way that, just doing something you love to do that you haven't done in a long time is just a way to reconnect. And so to everybody out there, find it doesn't have to be, when you say self-care, well-being, people think yoga or which is true. It's also something, but there's little actions day to day that remind us who we are, remind us what we like to do. So, you said walking in nature makes you tick, but it's always the last question I ask. Are there any other things, Rand, that make you tick when you feel those down days?
Well, I give myself a lot of permission. I don't compare myself to anybody else. I try to embrace everybody for their journey and their challenges and their happinesses, but I'm not comparing. In 1955 or so, a great psychologist, Leon Festinger, came up with this human comparison theory. A lot of people do that a lot of the time. They're comparing themselves, and that's just a non-starter. It's a no-win proposition. You never have enough. You never feel good when you're doing that comparison. Or if you do, it's because you're momentarily feeling superior, which is also not not a place to stay with. So I give myself a lot of permission. I'm willing to take risks, experiment with something new. This whole book and doing the audio book and being on podcasts. These are, I consider them adventures. It's not that everything I do works out perfectly the first time, other than, of course, this podcast.
It does. I agree.
in terms of relationships, creating new relationships, sometimes it takes an experiment. I say to people, look, remember when you were maybe in 7th or 8th grade and you were in science class and you had to do an experiment, a science experiment, and maybe you got it done the first time, maybe out of luck, but maybe you had to rework it. And maybe sometimes your experiment never worked. Well, that is the way life is. And so if you hold on to that idea that life is a series of experiments, some work, some don't, some have to be tweaked, then you can get on with more power to try new things.
Well, thank you for that. You certainly, with the popcorn yesterday and this podcast today, I'm feeling much better. So I thank you for inspiring me. I know you've inspired many. It's impossible not to rant. I really highly recommend everybody to get the book. It will be on the show notes. And I mean, there's so much wisdom. You can download. Thank you for showing it. Yeah, Thriving: How to Create a Healthier, Happier, and More Prosperous Life. And if anything, just go visit Rand's webpage, which, if I'm not mistaken, is randselig.com, right?
It is.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and you can download the free quotes. Just that, it's amazing. I mean, you download that and then you're going to go buy the book, because I did when I was doing research for this. And I mean, those quotes are night table material. Like when you read that before you go into bed, no matter how bad a day you had, you're going to find something there that's going to lift your spirit. So thank you for putting that together for us, Rand.
Oh, my pleasure. Absolutely, Leticia. Well, you've just proven that you are a master host, and you are well positioned to bring your best self into this podcasting world. And I know it's fun for you, because I've seen so many of the interesting, fascinating people that you bring on to your podcast. So I know it's fun. You said it's a guilty pleasure, but it's a gift for sure. It's a gift to your listeners. So bravo on you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I always say everybody has an interesting journey, no matter who they are, no matter what it is. And as people say, how can you keep it going so long? I say, because everybody has an interesting journey and you meet an interesting people every day. So I'm glad our paths cross. Rand, I wish you best of luck. I definitely know that a lot of my audience are going to be following you just as I am. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you again, Leticia. It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to Back to Basics. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't yet, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcast or any of your favorite streaming platforms. This is the best gift you can give us. Join me next week for another Back to Basics conversation. And if you want to find out about other exciting things I'm working on, visit leticialatino.com. Thank you, and until the next time.